How to change the tone of your voice. You're doing a great job versus you're doing a great job. I just said the same words in two different ways. One was stern, one was encouraging. How do you change the tone of your voice and why does it matter? We'll talk about that today. Thanks for joining me. When I shared that example of you're doing a great job, that's the stern version versus you're doing a great job, that's the encouraging version. Each of those versions have a different tone, inflection, and vocal variety. This matters when you're a leader. Every single person that you talk to hears the tone of your voice and might think, ooh, he's mean, or wow, she's so encouraging. I want you to think about why it's important to know and be able to change the tone of your voice depending on what you're working on communicating. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's first talk about understanding vocal tone. There are differences in what we can do with our voice, and we can communicate so much just by tone, and we'll talk more about what that means, but I want you to think about the way that you say things and why it matters when you give any kind of feedback, or you're trying to make a suggestion, or you're just trying to communicate something to somebody important to you. If you're a public speaker and you stand up on stage and you say something either monotone or authoritatively or enthusiastically, those are three big differences, aren't they? Have you ever been at a convention or an event and seen a speaker stand up and in monotone voice go, "It's wonderful to be here"? That's way different than the authoritative, "It's wonderful to be here," versus the enthusiastic, "It is wonderful to be here." Do you see what I've done with my tone? Obviously, I've varied the volume, I've varied the pacing, but you obviously notice that there's a difference with monotone, authoritative, and enthusiastic. There's a different impact when we share our tone differently with every single audience. When we say something in a variety of ways, it can impact the audience's reception of what we're saying. The words matter, but the tone is more important even still. And yes, there's body language involved as well. But here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like to encourage you, first of all, to consider your tone of voice. That's not to say that we're talking just the one tone of the sound of your voice, but rather the way that you deliver something, the way that you express the words that you mean to. It's so essential to your success. I hope that you'll take the time to record yourself, watch it back, listen, and even close your eyes as you listen back if you recorded it on video and just think to yourself, I sound angry when I'm trying to sound encouraging, or I sound encouraging when I mean to be angry. There's a difference. We can actually maneuver through that just by practice. So let's talk about some techniques as to how you can change up your vocal tone. There are different ways that you can do this. You could talk about breathing and think about how you're breathing. I know when I say that, all of a sudden I start breathing again. You see, when I make these videos, even when I'm watching these videos or videos of other people, I'm not really breathing much. I do a real shallow breathing myself. But when I think about changing my vocal tone, I have to consider, am I breathing properly? Do I have the proper breath to get out what type of enthusiasm or energy or authority I want to share with the person that's listening? And so think about your breathing. Think about that breath. That can get a lot of different energy out in terms of how you're sharing your vocal tone. Now let's talk about pitch variation. So pitch variation can matter in terms of where you place the pitch within a sentence. I came up with a great phrase years ago because I talk about promises and I talk about goals, but I used to say it in a way that almost sounded like I was asking a question rather than authoritatively stating the phrase. So for example, the phrase is this: why set a goal when you can make a promise? I used to say it, hey, why set a goal when you can make a promise? Now I say it, why set a goal when you can make a promise? I'm saying the same words, but I'm using a little bit of a different pitch. I'm changing the tone and I'm becoming more authoritative rather than almost questioning or lobbing it out there as an okay idea. I truly believe in what I'm saying when I say, why set a goal when you can make a promise? That makes somebody go, whoa. I like that. But I've had to learn that by recording it and listening back to myself say, hey, why set a goal and you can make a promise? Where everyone doesn't even care. It's like a throwaway versus authoritatively saying it by varying my vocal pitch, my tone, and being more authoritative. Now let's talk about pacing and pausing. Pacing within, I'm not talking about walking, I'm talking about your vocal tone. You're pacing through what you're saying so somebody understands you. They can hear it with clarity. They can feel feel that you truly believe it. And then there's the power of the pause. Now, I said that sentence earlier, why set a goal when you can make a promise? The important part of that is where I pace it and pause as well as the tone. So listen what happens when I add in the pausing. Why set a goal when you can make a promise? I let it sit. I allow that beautiful language to come into your heart and you say, whoa, that's awesome. Rather than, hey, why set a goal when you can make a promise? These things are really important. I could just blabber on and on, but instead I like to sit on that last word, when you can make a promise. There's a difference there. There's a pause. Pacing and pausing matter. And then of course there's enunciation and articulation. When we think about that, you can practice this, and this is the type of thing that actors do. They go through these words that make it so they have to say it well. For example, unique New York, 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 unique New York. Those are hard to figure out and say unless you practice them a lot. There are lots of things you can do to fix your enunciation, your pronunciation, and make it so that everyone understands your articulation, because the words matter. Now let's talk about practicing your vocal tone. I want you to practice with some vocal warm-ups. That might be something like or, I've talked about this in other videos on this channel. There's a straw method that's very helpful. This actually goes That sounds weird, right? But now my voice is actually even stronger and better because breathing through this little straw actually opens up the cavern within your throat and your mouth in order for your voice to sound more resonant. Doing those types of simple things before a speech are essential to being a great speaker. But that's another way that you can ensure that you have vocal tonality, that you can change up your voice to do whatever you want it to do. You see, I can change my voice right in an instant because I've practiced it enough. I could go into different singing voices or characters if I want. I can go from, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world, all the way to Christmas, Christmas time is near. That's a dramatic vocal change. That's the power of having control over your tone, but it's because I warmed up vocally before I did it. Another thing I'd like you to practice is reading aloud. When's the last time you read out loud to yourself? I love doing this because it helps me to articulate better, helps me to think about my tone, and reading out loud allows me to listen to myself and how I'm presenting something as a reader. So practice that the next time you read a book. Recording and self-assessing yourself is one of the best ways to do this. And to make sure that when you're recording yourself, you're recording the audio to be awesome. As you can see on this video, I have a microphone right here. There's actually one hidden above me as well. Having a good recording allows you to listen back and listen to the small nuances within your voice. Those things are very important to do. Finally, get some feedback. Ask people that you trust to listen to you, to tell you when you sound like you're upset, or you sound authoritative when you want to sound courageous, or when you sound angry and you're trying to be encouraging. These are ways that you can have other people help you to self-assess as well as give you great advice so that you can work on your tonality. And so I hope that these have been helpful. I'm so excited for you to work on varying the tone of your tonality and your voice. It really is important. And when you think about for yourself how you can do this more and more, I'd like for you to put in the comments, if you would, some of the great differences in vocal tonality that you've noticed from other speakers. When I think of great speakers, I think of Tony Robbins, and he's just like right up here. And that's a really great tone. But then there's a tone like Brene Brown, who's very encouraging, who's very authentic and vulnerable. There are so many different variations. What are some of yours, and who are some of your favorites in terms of vocal tonality? And you as well can learn how to change your voice in order to present something more authoritative, more monotone, more excited, more encouraging. And I hope that this has been helpful today. Thanks for leaving a comment, and thanks for being here.